Dear chess friends, this is Jirka Dufek on your chess channel, and today we will finish our tour on Semi-Slav Defense. And let's start. I choose a game Legemaat Boehnke from Correspondent Chess from 2016, which I think make a wall line, which I will show you, quite dubious. d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, c4, which is classical Slav defense. a4, bishop f5, knight e5, knight bd7, knight c4, and in original game between Korbov and Solak was played knight b6, but second very important line started with queen c7, which was played in fact many years ago. I think one of the first pioneer of this line were Alekhine and Euwe intermatch in 1935 and maybe 1937. g3, its main move, e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop f4, knight fd7, bishop g2, which is simply basic position of the wall line. And in the past, the main move was f6, which is now slightly out of fashion because with this move now light squares looks quite weak in black camp, and black needs to solve a lot of problems with them, and even the pawns on queen side, which looks quite safe and very good, in fact are slightly weakened by move c6, and they are not so happy to be there on the open file, and white very often use some kind of idea with a5 or even a6, which make then pawn on c6 quite weak. The main moves now are short castle, knight c5, knight e3, bishop g6, and b4. And white use his queenside pawns very effectively, and b5 now is on the agenda. Knight e6, and this is simply main position of this line. And white used a lot of moves. I think a5 now is quite strong immediately, but there are other moves too. And in the game Sheriff Hector Malmo 2011, Sheriff played immediately b5, simply attacked this c6 pawn. And after rook d8, queen b3, knight d4, queen b2, we see that black is behind in development, and his pieces in the center looks quite unstable, and knight on d4 is tactical weakness. And still this diagonal is very unpleasant for black. Hector played bishop c5 and knight g4, using the fact that this knight is now pinned to the queen. And after bishop h5, h3, short castle, knight e4, c takes b5, bishop e5, fe, rook a7, b3, b6, e3, knight e6, and ab5. And now we see that all white squares are in the black camp are terribly weak. c6 square is very good for a bishop or even for a rook or knight, but of course knight, there is no simple way to move the knight from e4, for example, to c6. And even e5 pawn is very weak, and it's a tactical target for white pieces. Hector played rook f5, and after rook fd1, rook takes, knight f8, rook d5, knight d7, queen d2, bishop e8, knight d6, bishop takes, rook takes d6. We see that all white pieces placed together using the fact that e4 square is in front of isolated pawn is very weak, and all white pieces have some role in the attack or controlling some important squares. c6, as I said, is very weak, and then of course this pawn on b5 is very strong too, because he blocked two black pawns, and a7 is of course very important weakness for endgame. And Shirov won in 50 moves, 20 moves later from this stage. Another very interesting move in this position is queen b3, and it was played by Iranian against Ivan Sokolov in WKZ 2006. And we can shortly and quickly check the game. After bishop f7, queen b1, knight takes f4, g takes. Black got two bishops, but still we see that all white pieces are developed, and b5 is very unpleasant threat. And then this kind of minor attack on the queen side will give white a very big advantage. Sokolov played knight g6, b5, queen takes f4, rook d1, bishop d6 with a simple threat. But Aronian, maybe it was prepared at home, sacrifice exchange on d6 after rook takes d6, queen takes d6, and now bc6. And we see that after short castle, knight b5, queen c5, and c takes b7, white is exchanged down, but with so powerful pawn on b7, he has simple big advantage. And Aronian converted this advantage in 35 moves. I will show you rook a b8, queen f5. Of course, now endgame is very good for white. Knight e5, black decline to exchange queens. Queen c2, queen b6, queen c7, rook fd8, rook c1. Of course, now or later, some idea with rook c8 will force the black to resign. Queen a6, knight f5, queen b6, and now Aronian even sacrifice queen. After queen takes b8, rook takes b8, rook c8 check, queen d8, knight takes a7, and we see that this pawn together with this rook and this knight absolutely paralyzed the black position. Bishop e8, rook takes d8, rook takes d8, bishop d5, bishop f7, knight e7 check, king f8, and knight e to c6. And there is no defense against queening b7 pawn. And I think this is very typical for the whole line with 11 move f6. Simply black has a big advantage because all white squares in the black camp are very weak, and pawn on c6 is very good target for b4 and b5. Then, somewhere in 90s, in this position, Morozevich found a shocking idea, and he found move g5. I think one of the first games was Kasparov against Morozevich, and Kasparov won. But this line catch attention of black players, and there were a lot of innovation from black and of course white side. And I think in this position the best move is knight e3. Because if white takes on e5, which is absolutely playable, move 2, after knight takes e5, queen d4, f6, long castle. Even black position looks weird because these pawns looks very weak, and the king is on the center. But in fact, in this concrete position, two black bishops are very strong, and it allows to black to sacrifice pawn. After rook d8, queen e3, bishop e7, knight takes e5, queen takes, rook takes d8, king takes d8, queen a7. Black sacrifice or lost pawn, but his position is quite good. And after very surprising shot, bishop a3, with a simple idea to take on c3. Rook d1 check is forced, king c8, queen d4. Now, of course, there are two threats, just taking on a3 and exchanging queens. Black can take on d4, rook takes, bishop c5, rook d2, bishop e6, e3. We saw that just white is pawn up, probably this pawn. But on the other side, this pawn on a4 looks quite weak, and there's still some ideas with bishop b3, bishop b4, and it will take a lot of time to make some progress and make some pass pawn. Even this pass pawn, of course, is not supported by other pieces. This is not so important for a game. And I think that in this position, black can claim a full compensation for a pawn. And in fact, in correspondence games, Tiger Kramnik in 2014, the both players accepted draw 7 moves later. That is why I think that after g5, the best move is knight e3. And now some short forced sequence. G takes f4, knight takes f5, long castle, queen c2. And now into our main game, Boehnke played knight g6, which is probably the best move. In another game, Shirov Harikrishna Force 2006, Harikrishna played knight c5, but he was crushed terrible way. After short castle, knight e6, queen e4, fg, hg. And now, of course, into position a5 and a6, this idea is there every time. And Harikrishna played a5, but he fell down in a very nice trap, because now Shirov played knight b5. And after cb, ab, we see that c5 is decisive element in a position. After knight c5, queen e3, knight g4, queen c3, knight e4, bishop takes e4, queen c, bc, b6. Harikrishna returned piece, but now he's pawned down, and his position is very bad, and he lost in 38 moves. That is why I think that after 14, queen c2, knight g6 is better. And now short castle. And now in this position there is a big question if black should play f takes g3 or not. And probably it's better to wait for a while, because after f takes g3, h takes g3, h5, rook fc1. We see that knight b5 idea is there just in time for white. And in game Kasim Jamov Predovic in Germany 2007, Predovic played king b8, and after b4, h4, knight b5, black position is very bad, and he lost in another 10 moves after queen c8, queen b3, h3, queen e3, attacking a7 pawn, c5, bishop e4, knight f6, bc, knight g4, and c6. Sacrificing queen, and after rook d1, rook takes, knight takes e3, knight takes e3, bc6, rook ab1. Black king is in a big danger, and after cb, rook takes b5, king c7, knight d5. Predovic resigned. Then we see that it's probably better in this position to wait with f takes g3, and it's better to play king b8, rook fc1, a5, and now probably the best move and is to play b4, simply going for complications and for our black king. A takes b4, knight b5, queen e5, knight bd4, bishop c5, and we have another crossroad. In the game between Carlsen and Wang Euwe, I think, Carlsen played knight b3, and he was even probably worse after h5. He played a weak move or error, rook ab1, bishop a7, bishop takes c6, fg, hg, hg3, and now Wang Euwe should play knight e7, and probably he will get advantage. But after bishop c5, there is much stronger move, and this is knight f3, attacking queen. And of course, a5, a6 is a very unpleasant threat. Queen f6 was played, and probably this move is losing mistake. Probably better way how to defend black position was to offer queen exchange after queen c3. It was played in another correspondence game, Pesica Schuster, in 2014. And even if the black was able at the end to save a draw, I think that the game which arises after queen c3, bc, rook c3, king c7, now probably knight h6, which was played, is the best move. Rook hf8, rook c2, rook a8, a5, bishop b4, knight g5, fg, hg, taking on a5 and taking on f7. And I think that these pawns have much more potential to be advanced than the pawns on the queen side. And even in this position, I think that opposite color bishops are very good for white, because still I think that this bishop on g2 is much better than bishop on h5, which is just only defensive piece, because he not so much support his pawns, and still I think in this position white can claim some kind of advantage. But Boehnke played in this position after knight f3. He played queen f6, and white played straightforwardly a5 with clear idea to a6 and open not only a file, but make c6 very weak, which is typical for our line, and even then opening the diagonal on a black king. Black defended with king a8, a7, knight 3 d4, bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, a6. And now we will see that, just as I said, opening this file and this diagonal will be deadly for black king. Black played knight d to e5 to support his c6 pawn. Another way how to play was to play it knight c5. But after a takes b7, king takes. Now check. Black is pawn up. Rook a5, b3, queen b2, b2. It's interesting that b takes c1 is not threat because the pawn is pinned to the king. Rook a to c5, knight e5, rook b5 check. Another very nice pin. It's interesting that both white rooks looks now that they are under attack, but after king c7, rook takes b2. Now material is even, but the situation of black king on c7 is of course terrible. There are so many open files and diagonals, and black is lost in this position. Black played knight d5, and after a takes b7, king b8, bishop takes c6, another deadly threat on the board, b3, queen takes b3, knight c6, and after move rook a4, black resign. And this is a just final move or around Slav defense. Still a small conclusion about this line. In this position, I think that after f6 and after short castle knight c5 and these moves, white has very nice choice. You can try a5, queen b3 or b5, which I think all moves gives white very nice advantage on weak white squares. And after g5, I think that main move, knight e3, is the best. And after gf, knight f, and so on, is very good for white to playing b4. Probably with computer you can find another way how to continue. For example, e3 in this position, and still white has an advantage. And after b4, ab in this position, after knight f3, I think that queen f6, which was played by Boehnke, is a loss for black, and probably black can look for some kind of drawish chances after queen c3 in an endgame after queen takes bc, rook c3. But still, I think that white has all truths because he has a better pawn structure, very strong bishop on g2, weak white squares, and I think that white is simply better. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.